Hey everybody, my name is Jake and welcome to Sunday Service. I am a former Jehovah's Witness, current existential crisis manager, and on Sunday Service every week, me and my live chat see what my old cult Jehovah's Witnesses is up to and check in with some other high control groups and religions, and generally speaking, hang out and make fun of cult stuff together. As a community, we do this, apes together strong, and so forth. So welcome everybody here. We're going to have a special guest coming up later in the show, and also happy 420, happy Easters, and my goodness, I totally forgot that it's Easter. It's Easter Sunday. It is indeed 420. My goodness, hang on a second. Let's think about Jesus Christ our Lord. Let's take a brief moment to think about Jesus Christ. Now, if you've never been on one of the live streams before, usually right up top I do some rambling, catch up with chat as folks filter in. I know a special guest during 420. I personally have zero guesses. Happy Jesus Respawn Day. And let's talk about the Easter myth. Now, Jehovah's Witnesses do not celebrate Easter. Maybe we can actually, I'm certain that they will have an article on their front page. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Like clockwork. What does the Bible say about Easter? Now, obviously nothing, because the word Easter is not in the Bible. But if you want to know why Jehovah's Witnesses do not celebrate Easter, it's because, says JW.org, if you look into its history, you will see the true meaning of Easter. It is a tradition based on ancient fertility rites. Technically, it started out as a pagan holiday, which means deep down inside, it still is. You are honoring pagan gods of fertility if you celebrate Easter, and that's really what it is. And so Jehovah's Witnesses just, they believe that Jesus rose from the dead and everything, but they just don't celebrate it. It's confusing. It really doesn't matter. And quite frankly, I'm just killing time because we're going to have to do our first famous segment on the show before we get to our special guest. I've really not been doing a good job of uploading content to the channel lately. And usually when that happens, it's because I am failing in life in some way. That's always true. But anyway, let me just talk about YouTube real quick.
Oh, happy day. All worldly complaining about YouTube.
I'm now remembering what I keep meaning to do and why I'm off kilter. It's because I keep forgetting to connect my Bluetooth to the computer. That's why. Once that happens, everything is going to be 100% fine. Okay, so complaining about YouTube. I've been in a little bit of a rut. I did that stream about the deportations that have been happening. I've been feeling like a certain level of existential dread over the last several months in a way that, I haven't since really starting the channel. I love making videos about Jehovah's Witness stuff, and I don't plan on stopping. But I also just haven't had the mental energy to do it. I've been feeling a little bit lost, a little bit scared. And so basically, I think I'm just gonna upload what I've been working on to the channel, which is a video kind of about Elon Musk, kind of, but it's my alt-worldly kind of videos, but looking at some Elon Musk clips that I think are interesting in the same way that I look at Jehovah's Witness clips. And I guess the reason why I'm doing that is because I think that we can't really be a successful ex-Jehovah's Witness movement until these problems are solved. If we want to create an environment where cults cannot thrive and do not have the ability to enact harm upon their members, then we have to make a better democracy. We have to make a better system where we can hold religions to account. Right now, we're in a constitutional black hole, and all of the reasons that I left the group, Jehovah's Witnesses, are now important on kind of a national scale. My first real moment of starting to feel uneasy with the witnesses was in Trump 1.0 in 2016, when he started going after news organizations and denigrating anybody who said negative things about him, calling them fake news, and Kellyanne Conway coining the alternative facts term. That was the kind of thing that really started freaking me out and got me thinking about our own group and the fact that we said the same thing about anybody who criticized us. How do I know if I'm doing the same thing? Like, how do I know that my group is not just doing the same thing in a different direction? It was little things like that that got me thinking. And, you know, cults, they're fickle. They're great when you're in it, kind of, but it's a toxic relationship, and the second you go against the grain, you're kicked out. And so as I've been doing this channel for the last 5 years or so, you know, quite frankly, the right-wing exJW sphere has grown significantly. There are people who maybe are leaving the organization because they're COVID denialists or vaccine skeptics or something. And then they're finally to this point where they're going to do research on YouTube, and they can find that validated, and they can find people who send them further into the rabbit hole of right-wing conspiracism. But then I also just think about people like myself, where I think I was really lucky to stumble across creators who were very inclusive and interviewed gay people on their channel about their experiences leaving the witnesses and creating a safe haven for people who aren't just displaced because of the organization, but maybe because of their innate identity too. And so anyway, I've just been thinking a lot about that, and I think I can't really talk about cults without addressing the elephant in the room anymore, which is that we live in a right-wing cultic, cult of personality type state currently. Right-wing exJWs blew my mind. Like, they left the Jehovah's Witnesses to still believe in the worst parts of the religion and to be the worst version of themselves. They might as well have just stayed at JW. I totally agree. We'll bring in our guest to talk about this in a little bit, because I imagine they have some thoughts. But yeah, I think here's what I'm realizing about the difference between the right and the left on a fundamental level. Because in another video I'm working on, I posted the other day a picture of Peach and my dog Peaches and my laptop. I'm working on a script. The script I'm working on is talking about how to know if you're in a cult, but doing it in a different kind of rhetorical way, without talking about the bite model, without talking about any group in particular, in the age where everything you're reading is potentially misinformation. Who knows if it's AI generated or not? You know, how can you know what is true? How can you know if you're being lied to? All that stuff. And so, in my opinion, there are people who care about truth and being correct, like basing their life on facts and what they can know. And there are some people who want to be right, and they have a thing they want to believe. And when they leave the organization, they didn't have the thing that a lot of us had, where they're like, oh my God, I was tricked and I was deceived and I don't know anything. I'm going to have to really build up my critical thinking skills and really try and figure out going forward how to make sure that I'm not being swept up by reactionary narratives or getting ensconced in another cult or high control group. And so there's that. And then there's people who are like, oh, I was just in the wrong religion. I wasn't tricked. It's just that the witnesses are liars and they tricked me about Jesus Christ or whatever. And they just keep all of their bigotry, ignorance, their fervent belief that the Bible is the true and inspired word of God. They keep all that stuff and they just jump over to another religion. And maybe it's not even a proper religion. Maybe it's some political movement, whatever. I feel like I'm not even really making sense. But yeah, just a heads up, I am working on videos. But let's talk about this with our special guest today, exJW Caleb.
Hello. I was just rolling on another joint because I was like, it is 420, everybody. So happy
It is.
420. But I do agree. I do agree with everything that you were saying. It's just it's something that I've been having an issue with in my own channel as well, because I feel like Jehovah, like I'm in a place where exJehovah's Witnesses, the exJehovah's Witnesses who actually watch me, they're like, no, it's okay. I really do like that you talk about how Jehovah's Witnesses are a cult and why they're wrong, but you should not apply that understanding to anything else. If you apply that to anything else, you are not having unity inside the ex-Jehovah's Witness community. You're talking about politics. You are getting out of your realm or whatever. I don't think so. I think that once you realize what a cult is and why they're dangerous, you start seeing that Jehovah's Witnesses are not the only cult. They're not the only cult that affect us. So we need to, we need to fight cult mentality, not just in Jehovah's Witnesses, but in everywhere we see it, because otherwise we're no better than Jehovah's Witnesses fighting against everyone except, our little tiny group and our own little beliefs. We can debunk everyone's beliefs except ours. And I don't think that's healthy.
Yeah, I agree. And I know for my channel, and you're similar, rhetorically, I don't know if people know that I'm doing this, but I'm like, this has always been an anti-Trump channel as far as I'm concerned. Like, I've always kind of approached scripts from the standpoint of, yes, I'm talking about Jehovah's Witnesses, but I'm also talking about cults at large. And as somebody living in America is forced to deal with Trump in some way or another every day, like that is already part of the backbone of the channel for me. And if we can't take what we've learned from being in this cult and start applying it to other aspects of our lives, then what are we doing? I do think that we are at a disadvantage, because I don't want to come across as like the scoldy, everybody's in a cult but me kind of thing. Like, I don't want to do that. And I think for me, I am trying to maybe think of words other than cult to use even. I lost track of whatever the hell I was saying. How you doing, Danny?
I'm doing great. This actually is reminding me of I'm basically developing like a new way to talk about cults and to figure out what cults are and how cults behave. That is all based around stopping, the cult term, and maybe not stopping it, but adding a better term. I think a better term, and I'm making a whole video about it. I'm literally editing that today. It's the right cult should be abusive groups. If you're in an abusive relationship, you are there because you're stuck there. You are there because you think that you don't deserve any better. You are there because your self-worth, it has been undermined through multiple sophisticated techniques. And the same thing happens when you're in a cult. It's an abusive relationship, but in a group area, basically. How does it look, an abusive relationship, when it's, instead of one-on-one and one to a group, it's a cult? That's how it looks like. And I feel like that kind of talks a little bit more about why we both feel like we need to fight against it, because it's not just about the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's about, we don't like abuse. Like, that's it. We don't like that. And we see that people are victims of it. And we like to help. Like, that's it.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think one thing I was trying to articulate earlier and then had a brain fart was, for me, I try not to get too caught up in labels and stuff, but I'm on the left, whatever you want to say. And I think the challenge, because obviously everybody right now thinks that the other side is a cult. Like, you probably get accused of joining the cult of woke. I think we even did a stream about that back in the day.
We totally did. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and like to me, the difference is I want to create a world like let's say in the United States, if Kamala Harris had won instead of Donald Trump, there was not a risk of like Christians being shipped off to concentration camps.
Yeah.
And like I want to create a world where people who disagree with me have a place in society. Like I
Yeah.
understand that there will be disagreements and I don't want to strip anybody's rights away, but that is what the right wants. They want them to be the only group that exists. They want them to be the arbiters of truth. And people like me and people like you, like who have been critical of the Israel's genocide in Gaza, like as far as our right wing exJW colleagues are concerned, like we could be deported to a concentration camp and nobody would give a shit because we're advocating for the same thing that people who are being deported in this country. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm just like I feel like there's a real imbalance of compassion in terms of
Exactly.
I do have a hatred of right wing ideology, but it doesn't come from some place where I feel like I have the right politics other than I think we all need to find a way to get along and not perpetuate some cycle of hatred.
Why can't we just get along? You know, like
Why
why
can't we
can't
all
we
just
just
get
get
along,
along?
Danny?
Why can't we just get along? You know, let's bake some cookies together.
Right. And that's what we're really going to be doing here today. This is a cooking stream. No, what we're actually
Well,
going to be doing.
I mean, it is 420, so I am gonna get baked either or. So you know,
That's perfect. And you know, this is a good time to remind people that if you want to give me weed money, you know,
that's
donate
true.
to the stream, super chats, and so
They don't
forth.
donate to the stream because QC man just sent like a 199 super sticker, and you did not shout them out. So
No, that's a
you know
good point. I did miss the super
that's why
sticker
they're
earlier.
not
Thank
doing it.
you. Thank you so much, QC man, for the 199 super sticker. You are leading by example, and we love you, and we're in love with you. I want to look at this comment here. Brian Boer? Correct me on the pronunciation, Brian. Hi, Jake. We're all in this together. Religion, politics, etc., and other divisive topics need not be so divisive. Maybe instead we talk to each other and understand where the other person's view. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I can't tell if this is sarcastic. I feel like my lighting's horrible and I look gross. What do you think, Danny?
I think my light is horrible, and I look terrible. Like I literally
No,
just changed it because
no.
I thought I looked terrible. Look, I literally just
No.
changed something. So yeah,
Let's just
I have
agree
I
that
have no
neither of
idea.
us look gross. Oh, Echo. Calm down. Shush. All right. Well, let's look at this. I have heard that this video is great. Jared, heliocentric, texted me a couple times when making his little memorial plans. And so I'm curious to see how this goes. If people aren't aware, heliocentric is a friend of the channel. This is an atheist, and he's been doing these atheist church audits, going to different religions, some of them high control groups, some of them not, and giving a good faith breakdown of what it's like as a normie attending these services. And this one is on the JW Memorial, which we talked about on the stream last week. But we didn't really talk about the experience of what the memorial is like. And that, I think, is what Jared's going to get into. So maybe before we watch his thing, how would you describe, Danny, what the memorial is like?
The memorial
What
is
if
basically oh shoot, you asked me and then I stopped seeing myself and I
I know, I hit the wrong button.
the memorial is basically a meeting from the Jehovah's Witnesses. It's a very boring 45-minute speech where you get the only difference from the Jehovah's Witness stuff is, well, there are two differences. The first one is that everyone is dressed in like their best stuff. Like people usually buy. I know that I try to at least buy or like take my suit to like the cleaners or whatever, like right before the memorial. So everyone is like dressing up to the nines, and everyone is passing the wine and the bread that no one is allowed to eat or drink. That's it. Everything else is the same. The tone is the same. There's just like some old, probably white, probably overweight dude in a suit talking about how Jehovah's Witnesses found the truth and how you're not supposed to drink from the wine. Actually, you're not actually supposed to. And then you get past the wine, and then you know that you're not supposed to do it. I did it last year. I went to the memorial, and they was for the very first time. I finally got to do it. Like I fulfilled a fantasy that I've had for like 30 years. But yeah, you're not supposed to do it, and then it ends, and then people just go to restaurants, and then they do not talk about the memorial at all. Like they just socialize afterwards.
It's late night church, and then you go out to eat afterwards, basically. And I think for witnesses, it really is the going out to eat afterward. That's the reason for the season.
The best part. Yeah, that was the best part. Like we went to a nice buffet, and everyone, like half of the congregation was there. The other half they weren't because they're poor, and fuck them, like, who cares? But the half of the congregation that could afford to go to the buffet, like it was awesome. We were all in suits, we were all smiling, we were all chatting. Yeah, it is cool. But however, before we move any forward, I do think that we need to address the super chats that we've been getting, because
I was just waiting for
like is the most important one, I think.
I just didn't want to cut you off like I did when I accidentally took you off screen. Maxim Muir says my man crush Danny is on. Else, please pick up. I miss you so much. I just want to hear your voice. I don't understand what this reference is. I understand we're certainly not going to do that. That reference I do understand.
That's a good Tony Morris.
Oh,
yeah, I did understand.
Later. Thank you to Lo and Jasmine for the $4.99 super chat. And Steph S says the process of deconstructing led me to shift my politics. It's perplexing for right-wing exJWs to go through that process and not have a shift in politics. But maybe they didn't actually do the work of deconstructing, JW believes. Yeah, and I would also just add that there's a difference between being like conservative and being fascist. being like, maybe slow and steady wins the race, and like tax levies and stuff, and being like, I think we need to deport illegals because they're poisoning the blood of our country. Anyway, Jordan Curran says, don't always agree/disagree with your politics, but I like hearing different perspective. It's all chill, right? You're a cool guy. Love from Liverpool, UK.
Perfect. You should have done the accent all throughout, if anything.
Oh, sorry. All right.
It's cool. Like, you don't have to agree with it. Like that's kind of the point. Like I hope people understand that. Like we disagree with the Jehovah's Witnesses all of the time, which means that you should disagree with us if you feel like we're doing something wrong. Like that's what we do in this channel. We disagree with people, so you should be able to disagree with us. But just listen. If it's getting uncomfortable, maybe it's getting uncomfortable to listen to, just as you got uncomfortable to listen to apostles when you were a Jehovah's Witness, and maybe that means that you should listen to a little bit more. Like that's it. That's all I ask. But yeah, it just
totally
this politics thing. It's just politics, man. Why do we have to bring politics into our 420, man? Like, come on.
Liverpool. I don't really know what the right accent is. I mean, this is really kind of getting into a Scottish territory.
I don't think in Liverpool they sound Scottish. I don't think in Liverpool.
I'm the lovable lad from Liverpool. Ringo. No, I'm sorry. Okay, new clothes and going out afterward is the only thing that makes it special. Yeah, new clothes. Sure, that's another thing. Rindala says in Kuwait, after Easter prayer, people used to go to KFC afterwards. I love the idea of Easter and KFC. I don't know why. Those do feel like opposites. Just like nice, colorful eggs and just greasy fried chicken.
To me, they both just look like, American capitalistic inventions. Like, to sell shit, either to sell eggs or to sell chicken. That's it.
All right, so Paul was going down to record at Abbey Road then, wasn't he? No, I'm sorry, I don't actually have a good accent. Let's watch Heliocentric.
Oh, he's mad. Oh, what? What, he's going to be all charming up top? That kind of thing. I don't abide on this channel. A bunch of rambling up top. Get to the point, I say.
Exactly. Fuck!
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another thrilling episode of Atheist.
Yeah, hang on a second. People are always like, Jared is so nice. I've never, and he is, but I've never started a video by screaming and shaking my fist, and I feel like people think I'm not nice.
He's nice because he's not as snarky as the both of us. Like, we are both really snarky. So that subtracts a lot of nice points
sure we
for
are.
us. Like, that's the
Okay.
point. No, he's not snarky. Like, he just gets upset. Like, it's different. You can be likable if you're upset. You cannot be likable if you're not snarky like us.
If you suppress your emotions and just voice it with sarcasm like me.
Exactly.
Dang church audit. My name is Jared. I'm an atheist, and tonight I celebrated a memorial service of the death of our Lord.
Ooh, wait. So I actually don't know. Would we get a copyright strike for watching just somebody else's YouTube?
With our friends, the Jehovah's Witnesses. And I don't usually get to partake of the Eucharist whenever I go into any of the churches that I go into.
The Eucharist, by the way. I don't think that I had any
You won't get to
concept.
partake this time.
Yeah, we didn't call the Eucharist the Eucharist. We were Jehovah's Witnesses. Because that's the blood. Wait, no. It's the bread and the wine.
Okay. It's unleavened bread.
breath. You eat unleavened breath, and you drink fomented wine with an H. And that's the Eucharist.
Fermented, cheap. Oh, by the way, I want in the comments, like, I know we're stopping, right? We haven't even gone through 30 seconds. But in the comments, while we watch
That's what we do.
In the comments, let me know, what kind of wine did you get in your Jehovah's Witness congregation? Because I found congregations that were very weird about them. Some congregations were like, well, the closest one to the Jesus' time was Merlot. And then I went to another congregations where they just had a box wine. And then at the end of every single congregation, every single memorial, they would just pour the wine back into the box for the next memorial. So, I've been to like both sides, and I don't know, like, should there be like a normal way of doing it? For Jehovah's Witnesses,
normal way.
No, just buy box wine all of the time.
That would be, yeah. They definitely. No, I guess I was never involved with the wine part of it. Sometimes my mom made the bread.
Yeah, my mom made the bread all of the time. Obviously.
This was before they had the tutorial on JW.org, by the way.
Yes, of course.
For lazy
you
cheaters.
have to know how to do it. And obviously, our moms were both married to the elders, so that's what elders' wives do. Like, they do the bread usually.
And I don't know about your mom, but mine was married to all of the elders. She was married to all of them.
My mom was also married. The whole congregation, a couple of congregations too. Like, she liked to spread the love around.
Oh, interesting. You always had like a kosher wine that had no additives. Oh, Manischewitz.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
I did not. Well, of course, Jesus doesn't say that in the Bible. He's not like,
no,
this means my blood. And by the way, the kind of wine that this is, is blah, blah, blah. Okay, anyway, back.
And tonight was no exception. However, it was a little bit weird because nobody else took communion while I was there. So in protest of that, I'm not taking communion right now, but I am going to eat crackers and drink wine and think about the sacrifice of Jesus. And that's going to be the next best thing. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I get very animated about this shit, and I know that I'm doing like a YouTube shtick right now, but all this is very real. I hate the Watchtower. I hate.
Okay. See, he really is mad about this because he told me not to spoil anything about the memorial. I was like, really? Okay. And I was just like, in my head, I was like, the memorial is the lamest thing. I mean, I don't even know if it's content, really. And he was so mad. He texted me like, that was the worst fucking service I've ever been to. He was legitimately pissed. But I felt very validated because I was like, yeah, okay, I kind of thought it sucked, but I wasn't sure. I needed to hear that from an objective source.
It is very boring. Like, the main thing that I learned when I attended the memorial last year was that, like, even like I was nervous to attend because I had to travel to like an English memorial because Orinda could like observe and everything, right? So I had to travel, and then it was like an hour, and I was nervous, and then I sat over there, and I'm like, I'm gonna drink the wine, I'm gonna drink the crackers. I was so nervous, but then the memorial started, and it's so boring that I immediately was like, the nervousness got completely replaced by how boring I felt. Like I felt overwhelmingly boring to the point where I literally did not feel nervous anymore. I'm supposed to have like social anxiety, and yet I was still the victim of boredom.
Yes, and this is a unique kind of boredom, one that fills you with hate and rage.
Yes.
I haven't felt that since watching like the third Transformers movie, where I was not just bored, but viscerally angry at how bored I was.
This doctrinal system. I hate this theology very, very much. I love these people, and I will continue to praise how sweet and kind these people are. But this system, I hate it. It is evil. It is bad and stupid and dumb, and I hate it. And oh God, I'm sorry. I'm gonna try to tone it down a bit, but I know I won't be able to. I'm gonna be bitching by the end of this episode, guaranteed.
Best and worst dinner for your waistline.
Hey, what the fuck?
What?
Sweet.
Ads on my YouTube account. I guess we can give our boys some ad revenue.
What is
a
that?
kind stranger on the internet that tonight
I don't know.
is the Jehovah's Witness Memorial Service, which is their equivalent of Easter. You might recall that the Jehovah's Witnesses do not celebrate holidays. Easter is included in that. The only kind of quasi-holiday that they have is the one that they are told by Jesus to commemorate. And because the Jehovah's Witnesses are biblical literalists on steroids, they don't see any mandate in the Bible to celebrate Easter. However, they do see an injunction to come and remember the death of Jesus. And I've been to, I don't know, half a dozen Kingdom Hall services and meetings up to this point, and I think that maybe this one has been the most illuminating because it is by far the most hyped. They send out brochures.
Yes, it is the most important.
Yes.
And they really make it out to be important.
Technically, at least, it is the most important. Like theologically, like when it comes to like the doctrine, the annual meeting is the most important because it's like the actual most important. But doctrinally,
Yeah.
the memorial is the most important. So yeah,
Right, like it's what a witness would tell you is the most important. When
Yeah, exactly,
I think
exactly.
you're right that the actual most important thing is probably the annual meeting. And that's also increasingly their big event to launch new IP, intellectual prophecies.
especially nowadays. Yeah.
Brochures, they knock on your door, they tell you to invite your friends and family. It is a very big deal. You know, come to the memorial service. Remember the death of Jesus with us.
Hello. I'm happy to invite you to a special event that will be attended by millions of people.
Now you know it's sped
This is
up.
the anniversary of Jesus'
It's
death.
just hold on.
This
It is hilarious to me to go from heliocentric, like all like filled with personality and like energy and all of that stuff, and then just to go to like the outline of a human being like, "Hello,
Hello.
did you know that there is the memorial? We would like to invite you." Like it's
Yes.
it was the most hilarious cut that he could have made. I think he didn't even realize how funny it was.
Wait, let's do a memorial presentation. You be the Jehovah's Witness and I'll be the householder. We'll do it like that. Just to demonstrate for people what it's like.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. Wow, you have a lovely garden outside.
Why, thank you. I like gardening.
That is
But I'm
good,
sad because my dad is
gardening-
dead.
I am so sorry to hear that. You know, it is very hard to do gardening when we go through a loss of another person that we presumably loved. But that's why we are going to all of our neighbors to invite them to the memorial. The memorial, you can see it right here in this pamphlet. You can see everything you need, and then everything you could possibly ask me. You can go to jw.org. Goodbye. That's it. That's the presentation.
Wait, come back. You really are.
Go to jw.org. Go to jw.org. Goodbye. Don't ask me more questions.
That's unironically the advice, by the way, for the memorial season. It's like, get in, get out, because we got to get as many people to commemorate Jesus' death as possible. Don't linger for follow-up questions or anything.
What are you gonna preach to people? No.
Compliment my fish tank. Oh, my aquarium.
Ooh, do you have an aquarium that I could take a look at?
I do not. What am I? That guy from The Wire who's obsessed with fish tanks? That's the show we're watching right now, by the way. Okay, well, I'm going to skip ahead of this.
lackluster, banal service of any religious group that I've ever been to speaks volumes. So for this service, I decided to drive way out of my way. I drove way out into the sticks, like an hour north of Raleigh, to go out to this, new Kingdom Hall that I've never been to before. And it was interesting. I texted Jake from Alt Worldly and asked him like, oh,
hey,
tips for going to the memorial service. And he was like, get there early, like an hour early. And I was like, yeah, no, that's crazy. I'm not doing that. I still got there 40 minutes early, and 40 minutes before the service started, there were people outside directing traffic.
Yes.
Like they had a whole team.
Oh yeah, okay. He really didn't believe me, and I felt frankly a little gaslit. Okay, be honest, that he coming at me like I was being crazy. But I did think like, well, for his purposes, it actually would be very boring to go there an hour early. But like for witnesses, I mean, if you are a servant or elder or pioneer or something, like you are definitely supposed to be there an hour early to help, not just set up, and probably you have some kind of assignment like in the parking lot or whatever, but everyone's supposed to be kind of a steward of the congregation in some way. And if you see somebody who doesn't look like they're a witness, they're holding their invitation in their hand, you're supposed to help them.
Love bomb them. No,
I'm a good witness.
Supposed to get there like super early. Usually, since I was the son of an elder and I was like being groomed for minister, servant, and all that stuff, like I used to get there first, like in the morning to like do the cleanup or whatever. And then I would go home, I would shower, I would change, and then I would just go back because I had to set up the audio. I have to set up the chairs.
Yeah.
We have like, there's so much shit that you need to do. And it was literally like a whole day thing. That's why it's so rewarding when you get to like the end and you get to just sit down at a buffet because you're like, oh, wow, this is the first time that I haven't been working or like doing memorial shit stuff. Like, and that's why I feel like nobody talks about the memorial when they're chatting and in the restaurant afterwards, because everyone is just so out of it.
No, that's so important. There's nothing to talk about. Like, you're never going to be like, whoa, that memorial service was amazing. I'd never heard anything like that talk, because you definitely have the previous year and every year before. It's always exactly the same. This comment here. This is absolutely true. You get there early because it's a fashion show for the ladies and kids. And I will add in, gents.
Yes. You even need to take photos and everything. It is like the photo op for Jehovah's Witnesses. That's totally true. And more so than in assemblies and everything, because I feel in assemblies it's hard to like remain like all composed and everything for like the whole day of being in the hot convention. But in the memorial, it's just like 1 hour. Like you can look really good for 1 hour.
It is the Met Gala for Jehovah's Witnesses in that way, where it's like part of it, especially in the social media generation, is you do like, I still follow some witnesses from my old hall, and like the ladies are posting and the men, frankly, are posting the JW equivalent of thirst traps with their prom dresses, essentially.
Yes, you're totally right. Oh my God, everyone is like, look how modern I look without my tie or with my pants if I'm a woman. That is so true.
This Jake 100% was the guy that helped pull up chairs and grabbed 8 at a time to impress everyone. Listen, the more chairs you grab, the closer you are to God. That's just
the more chairs you grab, the easier it is to impress the ladies. I always grab like so many chairs, and it almost always worked. Like, it never really worked, but it almost always worked.
And yet the fits are still so mid. But like, that's what I'm attracted to now, is just like women in Jehovah's Witness-y modest clothing. Like, I guess if you grew up in an Amish community, just like any amount of cleavage would blow your mind. That's kind of where I'm at, where it's like, oh yeah, take off that big poofy scarf. That's kind of the...
Did we shout out the super chat, the $2 from Toby B?
Ooh, we've got, for the worldwide apostate work, $2 from Tony B. Thank you so much. All right, back to Gerard.
Ask Jake, like, what are the odds that I get recognized and kicked out? And he was like, oh, 0%. Because even if somebody had watched my videos, then it's like mutually assured destruction. Because then, they would have to run to the elders and say, hey, there's a guy who makes anti-JW videos here in today's service. And their immediate question to him would be, why were you watching anti-JW videos? And he would get in trouble. Okay, cool. So I walk in. I don't
like this because it's better than my videos. I think that's the problem with watching.
I really love. I mean, we were just talking about lighting, and then we show like the master of lighting. Look how nice, like how simple and yet elegant his lighting is. Like no bisexual lighting like the both of us.
I can't even with
20
that.
minutes before the service starts, and it's bumping. There's a lot of people there.
Bumping.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to feel like a little excited at this point. Like, ooh, wow, maybe the Jehovah's Witnesses are gonna like face it this time. Let's go. Maybe there's actually gonna be some like theological depth or some like mystery.
Oh, it does seem like that.
Ooh. I make my pit stop into the bathroom and take a leak and hear the.
Oh my god, that is the bathroom of a Kingdom Hall.
Yeah, I know that.
That is, I've literally like I've never been to that Kingdom Hall, and yet I've peed in that bathroom for my whole childhood. Like it is the exact same.
All Kingdom Hall bathrooms are basically the same, and that was the weird thing that I had when I went to my grandfather's funeral. I had the same thing where my anxiety was sky high, and then it started, and very quickly it's like, oh right, the meetings are so boring. And
yes, like you forget.
The other
They're
weird
so boring
thing,
that you literally forget.
The other weird thing was I went to the bathroom and I was like, oh my god, the Kingdom Hall bathroom is a dismal place within a dismal place. It is a subliminal space.
Orchestral music, it's still bad, man. It's still just bad.
Hi, I'm Brett. And
is this another freaking ad?
And this is Buddy.
I'm on my wrong
You don't
account.
have.
What is good?
You don't have.
I've got premium on my
remember-
other account. Yeah, I've got premium on my other
Kingdom Hall,
account.
like every other that I've been to, is filled with kind people. And I know that my exJW friends will come out of the woodwork and be very quick to point out, like, hey, this is love bombing. They're coached on how to do this. And even
That's
still,
just love bombing.
100%.
I don't know.
They're just
gotten by
coached
it
to do
every
it.
time. Like, as a person who, his whole shtick is visiting cults, I'm still susceptible to it. And even no.
Well, here's what I would say for that is obviously the witnesses don't think of it as we are now going to enact the manipulative cult tactic known as love bombing. Like they think that this is really the best way for them to bring glory to God, and I think witnesses see the congregation and the love of the congregation as the primary thing that moves people to join. So like it does come from an honest place of like, oh, I really want this person to feel welcome, but it's just it is trained, and it's because you're not going to feel welcome by the material in the talks or whatever.
Exactly. As a Jehovah's Witness, you do believe that you should make everyone feel welcome, but also you believe that you should, just shun anyone who the governing body tells you to. Like it's that duality that is the issue. that they just believe in it because the governing body told them. So yeah, sure, they're doing a nice thing, and they're doing it because they truly believe that this is the best thing that they can do. But believing that this is the best thing they can do is how they shun people and how they refuse blood transfusions and all of that stuff. So it's just very nuanced, unfortunately. It's just hard.
Yeah.
They're just victims making other victims. That's it. Like, can you really get mad at them? It's complicated.
They don't know any better, right?
Exactly.
And Rindala says, did y'all escape on fake bathroom breaks just out of boredom? Absolutely, yes. But that would be considered rude during the memorial. Like memorial is like, hey, this is actually for Jesus. Save your fake bathroom breaks for the
bathroom.
Save your fake bathroom break
Jesus
for the
coming.
convention. That's right.
Exactly.
You can't spare 45
exactly.
minutes for Jesus. All right, I'm going to play more.
Knowing how sinister some elements of this cult are, it's still difficult for me to villainize these people who are shaking my hand and asking me about my backstory. And man, the thing that really got me was I sat next to, a few like middle schoolers, and it was these like young, ambitious middle school boys. And, the guy on my right, he was wearing a 3-piece suit, and he was like, sir, would you like me to help you navigate the JW app? I'm like, Jamal, you sweetheart, yeah. There was a part of me that felt like, man, this is actually like so sweet. Little man is in 6th grade and he's passionate about his faith and, sharing it with the newbie on the block. Aw. Anyways, I'm there at night for the memorial service. And the ugliness of the Kingdom Hall is especially accentuated tonight because it's an evening service. It's already past sunset. So it's night outside, and inside the Kingdom Hall, the harsh fluorescent light.
Kingdom Hall after dark. Absolutely.
overhead just makes you feel like you're in an insane asylum. I feel like I'm a frog on a dissection table when I walk into a Kingdom Hall, especially at night. Like, I'm literally staring into my key light right now, and I feel like that's doing less damage to my circadian rhythm than the overhead lighting in a Kingdom Hall. So it's at about that time that the meeting starts. They start with a warm introduction.
Yeah, there's a few different kinds of Kingdom Halls. Some of them have this more modern, kind of cool, not cool, like, dope, but cool as in like the color spectrum, cool colors. And then there are the more warm Waffle House bathroom style Kingdom Halls, but they're like they're all surgical, but there are slightly different vibes. Now the memorial
it's like different
for us,
hospitals.
Okay.
It's like sometimes they're like nicer hospitals, and sometimes they're like little uglier hospitals, but they're all hospitals. You know, you don't like being there. Like, you know that you're not supposed to be there for a long time. It doesn't matter how nice they are.
That's a great analogy. It is like the difference between the small town hospital on the west side where I work and like the downtown hospital that has all the resources. Like, yes, absolutely. Yeah. So I'm interested in what kind of Kingdom Hall you went to, but our memorial was big enough that we had it at this like conference center, and the lighting was much nicer, like soft lighting. It's an event space where they have whatever, like authors or speakers come through. It's part of like the campus, and so it does feel a little bit more dignified than the Kingdom Hall, where you're literally just like, okay, this table, this like card table that we have folded up backstage, we'll just put like a white blanket on it, put some freaking flowers on the step of the stage.
Well, I don't know if this happened like in the United States, but since the memorial is literally like the same day, but there are multiple congregations usually using the same Kingdom Hall. Sometimes congregations will just like rent a place to have the memorial.
Yes.
Sometimes it's like hotels, but that's like usually expensive over here in Mexico. So what they used to do is that they used to rent like this like a little private like garden areas ish, like for weddings or whatever. But it's just like outdoors, and it's like it's nice because you just set up like a whole bunch of chairs and the grass, and there's usually like nice flowers around, and it's in the outdoors, and the lighting obviously cannot be like super bright because they can't light literally like overhead it because there's no ceiling, right? Those were my favorite ones because they just feel cozy, you know? They're like, yeah, no, we're just here getting together in this nice place that is not super clinical, like you said.
Yeah, and we haven't even said this explicitly. He mostly explained it, but the weirdness of the JW Memorial, or actually you kind of explained it earlier, is that only the 144,000 are supposed to eat the bread and drink the wine, and most Jehovah's Witnesses do not fall under that category. And so most people, most people are just passing the bread and the wine without drinking it. And really the only special thing about communion is taking communion. So it's very odd. It's a very odd ceremony. And a lot of Christians genuinely find it offensive because it's like you are turning away exactly what Jesus said you should do.
Yeah, you're literally having it here just so you're like, I'm actually not gonna eat from the bread and the wine like Jesus told me. Like I literally have it here so I can reject it. Yeah, it looks very offensive to some people.
Yeah, every year Jesus told us to get together in remembrance of him. Now we're not actually gonna do most of it, you know, the eating and the drinking part. He did say to do that, but he meant it for a secret club that he never mentions outright in the Bible, but we'll explain it over the course of 30
and then the
minutes.
apostles weren't in that club by that point because the apostles were not anointed yet. But anyway.
Oh my God, yes. Don't forget about the bouquets, real or fake, that would be used as decorations, give severance, enjoyment, and merriment fun. Yes. It is absolutely like, ooh, flower arrangements from a hospital gift shop is the kind of flower arrangements we're talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
Straight into the song. A single, solitary song. And to my surprise, it was actually a pretty banging cover of some Newsboys.
We believe in God the Father.
I'm kidding, obviously. It was terrible. So then after the music, they gave the talk, the holy grail of this whole thing. And to set the stage for this, like they've been preparing 4 months. You know, the memorial of Jesus' death. It's their one holiday. Sound the alarm, ring the bell, get everyone in the neighborhood to come down. Frickin'
Everyone's got to hear this.
People if you have to. Just get everyone here for this super important service. And
This is hilarious. I love this.
Literally not
It's so good.
It's not like, it's like not a sermon. It's a systematic theology on their stupid doctrine on how nobody should be taking the communion that they're about to present. So rather than emphasize.
Yes, he's nailing what's so weird about it.
He's the only person that I've met that has gotten to the memorial line without knowing what it's about and be even excited about what's going on, and then be like, wait, what is this? No. This is the same thing.
But he's really nailing what's weird about it, which is that because the JW beliefs are weird, it's almost like the talk itself is explaining why the ceremony is weird instead of just doing a good ceremony. It's just like the whole thing is just explaining why they're not going to do what most people would expect them to do.
Yes,
instead of just doing a thing that, like Jehovah's Witness, it's very strange. It's just explaining their belief system. Oh yeah, the 144,000. They keep moving the goalposts. I actually think that the David Splain video, that's the newest like scripted video on my channel, I talk a little bit about the history of that teaching because the cutoff has continually changed over the years.
Yeah.
And now the answer is, we just don't know. But, yep, that's why they don't
and stress the beauty of the incarnation. They don't believe in the incarnation because they don't believe that Jesus is God. But rather than stress the beauty of Christ's sacrifice and his unending love for us and the grace of God, none of that is there. Instead, it is turn to this verse. We read it. Now keep that in the back of your mind. Now turn to this verse. Now turn to this verse. Doesn't that sound a lot like the previous verse? They it is a legal document, and they use the individual passages that they're reading from like points in a syllogism. Hebrews chapter 3, verse 11. Premise A.
Yes.
Let me. Oh God.
That's exactly what it is. Oh my God. This is so funny.
Let me explain the theological point that they are making. Because they don't really give a shit about Jesus' sacrifice. They don't really give a shit about the penal substitutionary atonement that is taking place. Instead, what they really, really care about is proving that they are doing it correctly, that they are doing it by the book.
Yes.
Because if there's one thing that Jehovah's Witnesses are obsessed with, it is proving that they know the Bible and they are living according to the Bible. The Bible, as though it were totally devoid of any sort of historical or literary context. Just rip it out, doesn't matter, because the text is all we need. We have the divine holy text, and every jot and tittle is from God himself, and that's all you need. And so the entire service is them parsing through the Bible in order to prove this very obscure, very obtuse theological point that they have. And that theological point is the idea of a two-class system. Now, I'm still a little bit hazy on this, so exJWs, please correct me. But the gist of this, from what I can gather, is that there are two classes of saved people in the Jehovah's Witness theology. There is the earthly class, and then there is the heavenly class, or the anointed class. The earthly class refers to Jehovah's Witnesses who will be resurrected. They're super good, they're dandy, they're legit, they're great. However, the super-duper spiritual, elite, legit Jehovah's Witnesses are the anointed class, and those are the 144,000 that are talked about in Revelation. And the entire service is literally just to prove this theological point that they want to make, and that is that the only people who should take communion are members of the 144,000, the anointed class. However, that's weird because they are also under the assumption that you ought to be celebrating the communion service every year.
Yes. Yes.
It's not
That's such a good.
Exactly. The memorial it's not just for the anointed. The memorial is for everybody. It's just everybody doesn't get to do the things in the memorial, but they still need to attend. But why? I don't know. Their presence should not be needed.
Keep doing this in remembrance of me, but not all the parts of it. Just what everyone should do is to have a ceremony where food is served, but not everybody should actually eat the food that is served. So everybody should come, but only like 10 people really should get the bread and the wine.
It's funny because even if you hear it by the Jehovah's Witness standard, it does not make sense. The Jehovah's Witnesses are like, no. It's just you don't understand. The anointed are the people that God chose personally to rule with Jesus in heaven, right? So only they, like when Jesus say, keep doing this in remembrance of me, he means the anointed. The anointed should keep doing this in remembrance of me, like by eating and drinking the wine. Which means that we don't need to go to the memorial. Like it's just the anointed thing. The anointed are the only ones who need to keep doing this in remembrance of me. Like if we don't get to drink the wine and eat the bread because that doesn't apply to us, then assisting should also not be applying to us. Like why do we need to go just to be like, we are not going to do that? That's not for me. Thank you.
It's very weird. Very weird.
And just the majority of people ought not to be taking communion. This is the dumbest thing, man. It is so stupid. So the entire hubbub around this is just the fact that they are.
By the way, I love this because it makes me feel validated in my approach to the channel, which is that I think that a lot of people just don't ever hear that their beliefs sound really stupid. And I think if you just say what people really believe out loud, sometimes that's actually just enough to just describe what they believe. And
you don't really say that as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, and usually in the ministry, people are too nice or they're belligerent and insane. But this, you can tell, is just a real, like a good faith person being like, you don't see that this is stupid and like weird? It doesn't make any fucking sense. I really like it.
And it looks exactly like normal Protestant communion. They have a little plate with a whole bunch of little bread wafers on it, and they have a glass of wine that they pass around. So the song and dance that's done
and no touchy.
is you sit in your chair. The ushers will come along and they'll pass the bread and they'll pass the wine. And what do? You take the wine.
You sit quietly for a long time, by the way.
Right. And what does the person to your right do? Well, they take the wine and they pass it to their right. They take the bread and they pass it to their right. What does the person to his right do? Well, they take the wine and they pass it to their right. And they take the bread and they pass it. And nobody takes communion. Because the only people who are allowed to take communion are members of the 144,000. And who are the members of the 144,000? Well, nobody knows, the people probably know. The super holy spiritual elite who the Holy Spirit has whispered into their heart, they know. Oh, gosh. So basically, at that congregation, there were 2 people who took communion. And it's literally just... It's some dude who's like, yeah, no, I think that's me. So the distinction between the 144,
and that's all it is. It's just
I have literally never seen that.
Really? Oh,
I've always wanted to see that. I always wanted to. That's insane. That's amazing that he went blind and then he found like 2 people who took who ate from the bread and everything. I have literally never seen that. Like in 25 years of going to memorials, there was literally never a memorial that I shared with an anointed person, and I always wonder how that would be like.
That's really funny because, well, and you never know, is that person really partaking because they're anointed, or like if you don't recognize the person, you're like, well, is that just a Bible study who just doesn't understand that they're not supposed to eat the emblems or drink the emblems?
And the earthly class are that the 144,000 are going to be those who rule and reign with Christ. They're the spiritual elites. All the other Jehovah's Witnesses in the world, they're still like saved and they're going to be living in paradise for forever. But they're not.
We're constantly at a picnic.
They're not the governing body of heaven, so to speak. And so if you rewind literally about a year to my very first Jehovah's Witness video, I said back then that the 144,000 doctrine was either revised or totally done away with. And I had a lot of exJWs chime in and say, no, this has always been the doctrine. And I was right. So to be fair to them,
I could have told him that. The amount of times, like, I've been incorrectly corrected on stuff. I mean, I get stuff wrong all the time, don't get me wrong. But there's also just people who are just very wrong.
Yes, very confidently wrong.
But it also speaks to the fact that a lot of witnesses don't know their own beliefs. And so even as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, we don't always know our beliefs super well. Because it is labyrinthine and complicated.
It's very private. Like the only way you actually know your beliefs is if you are an elder and know, the do's and don'ts from the elder's manual. Like that's it. Like that's our beliefs. If you really want to get down to the brass tacks, that's our beliefs. But you only get the manual of our beliefs once you're an elder. Like that's it.
Yeah, no, totally.
them as well. This has been the doctrine for years and years and years and years and years. However, it was not always the Watchtower's doctrine. Essentially, here's what happened. When Charles Taze Russell came on the scene in the 1800s, he was going around preaching that there was only going to be 144,000 people saved. And him and all, 6 of his buddies were like, yeah.
Oh yeah, we just talked about this like a couple weeks ago. Let me skip ahead a
But
little.
their basic presupposition is stupid. The Bible is not a book that was delivered by God to Moses on Mount Sinai. It was a book written by people. If you want to say that we were inspired by the Holy Spirit, that's fine. But it has context. And so they'll look at the Bible and they'll say well, based on our calculations, it's very apparent that, the anointed class is supposed to take communion, but the earthly class is not. Meanwhile, nobody in the early church had any conception of this. All early Christian communities took communion. So yeah, you can run your theological calculus.
Well, that's Jared. Do you not understand? That's why they're false religion, because true worship was corrupted after the first century. I can't believe I have to explain this to you, by the way. But after the first century,
that is why they're Babylon the Great.
Exactly.
That's how you recognize them.
It kind of looks like my head has a tail, because Bo's... Oh, there he is. Hi, buddy. It just looks like a tail sticking out the top of my head. Yeah. True worship was lost after the first century. What Jared doesn't understand, because there's no proof, but there must be, if there was proof, it would confirm what Jehovah's Witnesses believe, that first century Christians did the memorial exactly like Jehovah's Witnesses do it. They would have done it exactly the same way. And that just happened to have been lost from the year 2 to
because
the
it was
1800s.
corrupted. Because it was corrupted. That's why it was lost. It was corrupted. It was lost. They basically had the memorial the same way. They shared around a cup without drinking from the cup, unless you were anointed. It's just
more people drank and ate back then. But yeah, would have been exactly the same.
And energy begging people to come to this, and it's laughably stupid. You spent all this time and money and energy inviting all these people.
It's embarrassing.
And it's so shallow. The entire service is spent doing hermeneutic gymnastics rather than focusing on Jesus.
Yeah, that's what I found to be really disrespectful about it, because I was on a Jesus kick after leaving the religion, and the first time I went, it was also the last time I went as an exJW, and I really was just kind of how did I put up with this? It's just not about Jesus. It's much like their funeral talk, where it is really a sales pitch to other people who don't know anything about Jehovah's Witnesses, just explaining their beliefs about the resurrection. So it's kind of odd that this big thing isn't just celebrating the life of Jesus. It's just explaining why Jehovah's Witnesses do the ceremony correctly.
Yeah, because it's basically to reinforce your superiority complex as a Jehovah's Witness. You go to the memorial to be reminded of why you're in the cult. You go to the memorial to be reminded that you are the only ones who do things right. That's it. That's why they're so boring. Because if they're so boring, and then you just keep reminded of it in a very boring speech that you know that you're supposed to pay attention, but you're not really, then you don't actually think critically of what's being said on the platform. That just bypasses your rational thinking, and then you're like, oh yeah, no, I am in the right religion because I am doing the right thing. That is how brainwashing works. That is literally brainwashing.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. It's just just reiterating that your beliefs are true.
Yeah.
How did you get here? And I always have to remind people, I'm an atheist. If these people were heretics, I wouldn't even care. It's not that they deny the Trinity. It's not that they have a weird conception of who Jesus is. It's that nothing about this is good or deep or rich or theologically meaningful. It's as deep as a mud puddle and rich as tree bark.
Yep.
It's hard to put into words the horrors that we've witnessed every
God dang it.
Jesus.
Service, looking around at these people, and I'm sitting next to my new friend, this new, young, ambitious 6th grader. He keeps, nudging me on the shoulder, and he's like, yeah. Look at this verse, isn't it awesome? And I'm looking out on all these other people, and, they are so polite, and they're kind, and they're sitting down, and they're paying perfect attention to the speaker. Mm-hmm. They're not scrolling on their phones. They're not distracted. They're not, counting sheep in their head. They are listening and attentive. And I know that outside the Kingdom Hall, they are barred from the vast majority of entertainment. They don't really watch movies. They don't listen to secular music. Video games are kind of taboo. Hell, even sports can become an idol. You gotta keep that on check. They are so spiritually deprived that this sermon, which honestly sounds more like a bar exam than an actual edifying homily, is somehow emotionally and spiritually edifying to them. And it's crazy to me. I know in actuality, behind closed doors, they're reprimanded if they don't pay attention. But ultimately, it's like they're not able to have fun or enjoyment or satisfaction outside the church. And then inside the church, this is all they get. And it is spiritual.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
Yeah.
It's tough because obviously I was a Jehovah's Witness, fervent, believing Jehovah's Witness, but I also like did fun stuff and went to movies and listened to normal music.
Yeah.
The Jehovah's Witnesses was the thing about my life that was weird. But I did, kind of normal stuff. And I think when you're a witness too, the fact that it's so serious and like solemn just gives you this feeling of, oh yeah, this is a special night.
Yeah.
Even though realistically it's the same shit as every other night at the meeting. But yeah, but if you are taking all of the JW stuff as seriously as the leadership wants you to take it, then yeah, you really wouldn't have very much fun outside of the group.
Yeah, exactly. Because the only thing that you should be doing, like Jenny Bloom is saying that they went to like the Iron Man release like afterwards, but technically you're not supposed to do that. Like technically you're supposed to only focus on like the sacrifice of Christ, to read not the Christ, because they don't call him the Christ, of Jesus, to read the reading of each day, and then the memorial should only be about the memorial. Like that was a huge thing, at least like in my family. Like no, the memorial is only about Jehovah. Like it should only be about the memorial. Like we were not, like, for instance, like we wouldn't have ever gone to the cinema right after the memorial at the very least, because it was just about the memorial. So yeah, it depends though. It's just so many people have so many weird ways of squaring the circle when the circle cannot be squared, like literally. That's why Jehovah's Witnesses have like slight like changes into how they apply it to them, because obviously the beliefs do not make sense. So you need to set up like your own logic, and sometimes your own logic is going to make you do things that not all Jehovah's Witnesses do, but it's just your way of remaining there.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Everybody's going to have a different like cultural experience within the witnesses. And yeah, Jenny says one time after our memorial, we went straight to the theater for the Iron Man release. One of them. Yeah, like we did this after meetings a lot. Like I remember when I first saw, we went for Spider-Man 2 at midnight, original Spider-Man 2. Which was probably the most excited I had ever been for a movie. We saw The Dark Knight at midnight after a meeting, and yes, literally in my Jehovah's Witness suit in 2008 after a Thursday night meeting, went to AMC theaters for a midnight showing. So, plenty of witnesses have fun and do normal stuff, but some don't. Some are really hardcore and just they're a bummer. And they're bumming us out.
Yeah.
And I would say that witnesses kind of resent the hardcore witnesses because it is a little bit, they add to the stereotype of witnesses being no fun.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, witnesses are no fun. I mean, have you been to the memorial?
Listen, the events are definitely no fun, but on an individual basis, you'll find witnesses that are, hey, I'm a pretty fun guy. Not that different now.
Well,
I mean, we're having so much fun here. If you like sitting and talking, then I'm a blast. Okay, I think we've got enough of the memorial situation. What else did we want to talk about here? There
were some entertainment news that you were telling me. I don't know if you wanted to.
Oh yes, okay. Before we get into, there's some entertainment news. There is some entertainment news that's intersecting with JW Land. Before we get into that, let's enjoy a little bit of silence as I get my house in order.
It's interesting. So, planet Earth. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Here we are, folks. We're back, and this one really went. I became aware of this because, as I said earlier, I do still follow some Jehovah's Witnesses from a past on social media. They don't know that I follow them, but I peep in on them to get a look at what JWs are up to. And there was some discussions in JW land, not exJW land, but JW land, about a famous person by the name of Damon Wayans being a Jehovah's Witness. There is some interview, came out a week ago. As you can see, there's a few Facebook reactions. And this one on TikTok says Damon Wayans talks about Jehovah. So you know a witness posted this. Damon Wayans talks about Jehovah. What? That's not anything. Okay, let's look at this.
Hey, that was just like the search
Our
results.
Father who art in heaven,
Right.
hallowed be your name. What is the name? It's not God. It's Jehovah.
Right.
Let your kingdom come. What is that kingdom?
Here, let's...
King.
Right.
Jesus.
There we go.
Let your will be done. What's the will? As it is in heaven on earth. That's the will. Is that we live in unity and be God. So man has plans. God has a purpose.
That guy just, like, farted or something. Like, at the exact second. What podcast is this? Like, what is the... Wow, great job, Isaiah Robin. Literally zero context as to where you got this. Oh, Isaiah Robin is maybe the person who did the interview? Because this is... Wow, okay.
So, you know, we...
Also, that beard looks really bad.
And you look at... All you got to do is read the news. And then read 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5.
Well, whoever wrote this spelled pagan wrong. They spelled it like wagon. Pagan. Pagan worship.
Pagan.
pagan
Holidays are
worship.
pagan worship. That
Your
beard doesn't
little
look good in
pagan.
anybody. Like, I'm sorry. Like, nobody can.
What doesn't
pull off
look
that
good?
beard. Like, you just the beard. Like, nobody looks good in that beard. Just like this,
The silver soul
this
patch.
chin beard, but at the bottom, and then just like long, but everything else shaved. Like it. No. You look like an Amish. Like what? You don't look like you can tell me anything about JW.org. You look like you don't know how to work a phone. Like that's how you look like.
If you saw the interview, Damon swears a lot. Oh my god. I love when I just ask myself easy questions and just answer them. That's so much of what it is to be a Jehovah's Witness, by the way. It's just like, what does this mean? Well, let me tell you. It's just like you ask a little question and then you answer it.
5. And you see, it's what it says, how people will be in these days.
Just read the news, people.
To deal with. Lovers of money, self-assuming, haughty, blasphemous.
Yeah, he's quoting the New World Translation version, too.
Having a form of
Haughty.
godly devotion, proving false to his power.
Haughty.
This is where we are today.
Right. Are you still a practicing Jehovah?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And
I think he said Jehoho, by the way.
Right. Are you still?
That was very fast.
Yes. Yes. And I
That was almost aggressive. Yes.
I think it.
Yeah. What of it?
The greatest
Jesus.
feeling you'll have is to be at peace with God and peace with man. Because
What? But why? But why is that the greatest feeling? To be at peace with God? You can never actually know, because God's never going to confirm this with you one way or the other. He's never going to be like, all right, you did it. We're cool, you and me.
It's a scam. You know, it's just a scam.
It is.
Like they just tell you, hey, if you do everything that we told you, you'll be at peace with God. And you keep telling, like, if you don't feel that, it's because you haven't done enough for the cult. Like that's it. It's the scam. So sooner or later, you learn to fake it, or you learn to find it some places, because it's not sustainable to feel like you never get what it's promised. So you just gaslight yourself into believing it, and that's how you end up, being mind controlled by a cult. Like that's how it works.
I like this comment by Grim Low KG. Everybody lives their own version of being a Jehovah's Witness. I think that's really true. And it's why everybody's reason for leaving ends up being different, because, like, there are witnesses who are really, really tied to the theology part of it. And then there are some who are really, really tied to the ministry part of it. Maybe some are just like more the community aspect of it. And there are these weird little cultural rules that'll pop up for one congregation but not another. So there is a lot of subjectivity in some ways, but the broad rules that are harmful are the things that are actually like in the rule books. So that's kind of the thing. It's like the damaging stuff is for everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for my family. Thank you for this journey.
Thank you for my family, God.
Because I ain't living a life that I got to apologize for. There was a time I was wild. Couldn't even pray. God, never mind.
What?
So he's saying that he's not living a crazy worldly lifestyle anymore. He's saying it in a way that whatever this podcast guy can understand it. But he's saying he couldn't even pray because he was wild. He's a wild and crazy guy.
A wild life. Oh yeah, he probably was just like it sounds like he's referring to a part of his life where he was just like a pommy, basically, like physically out, mentally in. Like, because when you're like that, and I was like that for years, you don't really fully feel like you can be in the world because you fully believe in the Jehovah's Witness narrative that
right,
and all of that stuff. So you can fully be yourself because you're still a Jehovah's Witness. You just don't go to the meetings anymore. So people don't call you Jehovah's Witness anymore, but you're still Jehovah's Witness in your head. So yeah, that's why I was like, wait, what? Because he said it in such a weird way. He could have just said, I used to be a pommy. I used to be a pommy, Caleb. Like that's how he should have said it. So I understood it properly.
I'm always annoyed when people don't address their huge podcast interviews to me personally. I agree with Altered Goat here. Seems like he only recently fell back into being a witness because he definitely didn't claim to be a practicing JW for most of his career. Yeah, this has the energy of somebody who just recently fell back in love with Jesus and God and all that shit.
Yes, exactly. It is.
Damn, they're having a good time.
Do Jehovah's Witnesses, do they celebrate holidays? Do they celebrate things? Because I'm trying to figure out, like, were birthdays big in your family?
No, my mother celebrated everything. My mother would celebrate Christmas, birthdays. You know.
Oh, that must have been nice for this guy. Why are we seeing the shittiest version of this? But it seems
like like super like corrupt.
On Club Shay Shay
that's how
speaking
we
on
know
God.
How he explained that holidays are pagan worship.
Dog, why are all of the videos vertical? Why can't we get
the kingdom we pray for? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be your name. What is the name? It's not God. Mm-hmm. It's Jehovah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Let your kingdom come. God. Unity and be God. So man has plans. God has a purpose. So
yeah, I'm glad we got to see that in full screen.
I believe that. And you look all you got to do is read the news and then read 2 Timothy 3:1-5. And you see it's what it says, how people will be.
He's just citing the witness greatest hits.
Where we are today.
Right.
The greatest feeling you'll have is to be at peace with God and peace with man.
Uh-huh.
Therapy no more?
No.
Ooh, wait.
Is stand-up therapeutic for you?
Absolutely. What is that?
Shit. Sorry.
I don't need it anymore. And
you don't need therapy no more?
No.
That's not good.
I'm at peace.
That's not good.
I'm at.
That's a lie. Like when he gets asked if he doesn't need therapy and he says no, that no is a lie. Like is he an actor? Like really? Like that is a lie. I can tell a no when a no is a lie. He's like no, and he just like looked at him like almost like daring to contradict him. It's just come on, man, just go to therapy. It's fine. Don't worry.
Because he's like giving up on stand-up and stuff too, right? Is that part of this?
Because I ain't living a life that I gotta apologize for. There was a time I was wild. Couldn't even pray. God, never mind. You don't want to hear this.
Is stand-up therapeutic for you?
Absolutely.
Why'd you stop?
I used to have to need, guys, I don't need it anymore. And
Cool. So the witness trajectory of giving up on your dreams. So it used to be therapeutic, but now he doesn't need to do stand-up because he has Jehovah. And also he doesn't have to do therapy. Presumably because a therapist would tell him, hey, it sounds like you're joining a cult. Maybe don't do that. Maybe don't.
You don't need therapy no more?
no. No, I'm at peace. I really am. I'm at peace.
No.
And, you know, the therapy is knowing that I can bow my head and, you know, that God is hearing my prayers and seeing in my life my prayers answered. And it ain't for material things. It's for the safety of my family and, you know, for me to have wisdom and to be great.
This shit is so lame. Like, make your millions and then become a Jehovah's Witness once you've got financial security and all that. It's dumb.
This is the same as Serena Williams. Like, that's why to me they're like the most annoying Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, you're like, they're not a really Jehovah's Witnesses, but for different reasons than Jehovah's Witnesses. Because I'm like, no,
exactly.
You don't know what it is to suffer. You don't know what it is to give up on your dreams. You actually did pursue your dreams. You had like a really successful like sitcom and everything. You have your millions, and now you're like, oh, now I found God, because it's the only way that you can find meaning to your life. Like now that you literally don't have anything else to work for. Like, no, get the hell out of here. No. That's why I really dislike those people.
This is my general attitude towards Damon Wayans in this interview, by the way. Like, this is my posture towards Damon Wayans. Is this guy's posture right here?
Learn most about life. What do you embrace most about life?
I have a beautiful family. I have a wonderful God. I have so many
very, very sweaty shirt. I've got a profuse sweat
blessings
problem.
That, you know, I'm the anger that I used to have when I was young, I no longer have because
because you repressed it.
I just know
I have been brainwashed by a cult.
That God has his hand on me and my family.
Right.
It's so sus because it always just sounds like, what did you do that was so bad that you felt like the only person that could forgive you is like an invisible friend? I don't get it.
Yeah, his own invisible friend.
His own invisible friend.
Because he talked to the other guys his invisible friend is friends with, which is, you know, the elders.
This is, you can tell he's nervous. I remember, this is so cringy, but, you know, when I was back and forth between questioning my beliefs when I was an active member, I knew that I wanted to be a writer and do creative stuff. And so I would think like, okay, what's the best case scenario there? And I imagined myself being interviewed on a podcast like Damon Wayans just was. And like, okay, so I'm a Jehovah's Witness author and I'm being interviewed. And somebody asks me about my Jehovah's Witness beliefs. What am I going to say? Do I feel comfortable being honest about what my beliefs are? And I realized I don't. Like, I would probably lie about it. I would do what Damon Wayans did, where he, kind of awkwardly gestures towards like kind of broad Christian-y things, but also tries to preach a little, show him some scriptures. Like, oh, I hate that. Damon,
it's just
come on the show.
It's like
come on the show. We'll talk about it.
It's like if you meet a Mormon. Like I've met like two kinds of Mormons, right? The first kind of Mormon is the kind of Mormon that if you ask them if they drink coffee, they're like, no, that is against my beliefs. I don't do that, right? The second kind of Mormon is the kind of Mormon that doesn't really go as often to like the Mormon meetings or whatever, right? But they're still like their beliefs are still fully internalized. And if you ask those Mormons why they don't drink coffee, they will say, oh, it's just I don't like it. What is this?
Right.
Is this a thing?
Wow, how did that happen?
Just, I don't like it. I don't like it. I personally don't like it. I don't like the smell. They would just, because they know that, you know, they won't sound weird if they're like, if my religion prohibits me from doing it. It's just far better if they don't like it. Because if they don't like it, you know, they can just dislike anything. It's like that with Jehovah's Witnesses. With Jehovah's Witnesses, when you're talking to like worldly people, you're always like, wondering, okay, how much can I share about Jehovah and how much, without being a downer, pretty much. How can I give a proper witness, but also, not be like robotic, because I don't even believe this stuff to begin with. I just
want them to think I'm normal.
Exactly. So yeah, I feel like I saw that struggle. Maybe I'm just, obviously, I don't know him, right? I'm most likely projecting, but to me, that's
he's
just how
one of my best
the
friends
way-
in real life. I didn't
but
say that.
Not
earlier.
me, because he's a
okay.
black person and I am deeply racist. So I do not.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's the point. Like I would never be friends with him.
Well, and it's unfortunate that we have to have Danny leave now, but unfortunately, he's outed himself as a racist.
Listen. Black people are just, we listen. Just to go on a very problematic, like, racist rant. I was just chatting about this with my friends. Black people and Latinos are like me, basically, because I'm a Latino, right? We are basically the same, except like we like pretty much like a lot of party, like we like to be loud, we like music, we like dancing, all of that stuff. The only difference is that Black people have like the part of the racist, caricature is that they don't like to work, and Mexicans do not have that. Like that is it. But everything else is literally the same. It's that
I thought Mexicans, well, in America, that is a stereotype, but I'm not going to weigh in on that. I'm going to let you just kind of have that opinion by yourself, and you can own all of that.
Listen, let me just be woke for a bit and say that it's very funny because it shows you how stupid it is to think that Black people don't like to work when Latinos, like when Mexicans or whatever, like they do like to work, because we literally like to party just as much. We like to drink just as much. We like to, to hang out just as much. But yeah, it was just a funny little thing. Okay, please don't cancel me. I am very afraid.
I don't know. People are not liking this, and I tried to move on. I don't know. No, you're fine. Let's go to one last
my live stream moment. That's it.
It is. It's all unraveling. His equipment's falling apart. Brutal. Now let's talk about. Oh God, Sauce. This is our friend Sauce.
We were originally talking about the Wayne brothers because somebody got baptized, and we didn't even get into that.
The Wayne's bro. Oh right. No, I think that was the question. I wasn't sure. Did he recently get back? Did he get baptized? Like, what is it? And I'm really not sure. So if anybody knows more about the specifics behind like Damon Wayans, let me know, because I'm not entirely sure. If there's more, if he's just like being more open, or like if he for sure got baptized recently, I'm really not sure. Now this looks like a new guy. Nicholas.
Yeah, no, I couldn't find confirmation on that. Nicholas
Dickolas Aladdis.
Oh yeah, that is a new guy.
Let's see. Let's look at his last name. We are wrong. We just haven't been on the Nicholas Aladdis train. But here he is, dropping talks left and right. One of his talks is just, there is a river. That sounds very boring. I mean, I know that there's a river.
Wow, fascinating.
Hey, today's subject is there is a river. Let's look. Okay, wait, is this the new talk? There is a river? That can't be the new one. Good, I don't want to watch that one. Our sympathetic high priest. Now, future subject of an alt-worldly video, Elon Musk, is recently on record saying that empathy is a weakness that is destroying humanity. I guess that's different from sympathy, but I always get them confused.
Consider
are you still there? Yeah, okay. High priest, and I think that might be Jesus.
This morning we'll consider the theme.
High priest.
Consider our sympathetic high priest. This verse from Matthew 12.
Whoa, there's something really disorienting about this guy in fast motion, where he looks like claymation or something.
20 is a messianic prophecy from Isaiah. It's from Isaiah 42 and verse 3. And we're going to consider three questions. First of all, what images are conveyed by a bruised reed and a smoldering wick. And our commenters already gave us
what images are conveyed by this? This is the guy you give more than one talk to? He's boring. Okay, well, let's see if there's any good things. Okay, good. We might not know what something crushed is.
But Isaiah did not use such an image here. Rather, he refers to a bruised reed, like a large stalk of grass that was bent over and in danger of being crushed or trampled. In fact, Isaiah used this image in 36:6. It actually was a disparaging idiom for weakness. Likewise, Isaiah did not refer to shining heavenly luminaries used to represent powerful people and nations. Instead, he used the image of a smoldering...
I hate this shit. They're always talking about what somebody didn't say in the Bible.
Yeah, of course.
Like, you know,
what are you
said
going to
this,
talk about? What the Bible actually says?
Yeah, there was like, you know, the Bible doesn't
what
say.
The Bible says.
Downtrodden.
He's weird. He's weird, but he's weird like in he feels like a guest speaker. You know, like when you get like a guest speaker who feels like a little bit weird, but you know that he's just a Jehovah's Witness from a different congregation and you're just not used to them. Like I feel
yeah, you're
the
like
same way with him.
I agree. He's like a traveling Sunday speaker.
Yeah,
you wouldn't invite him back. And they're just talking about
You'll be like,
this new guy sucks, but I kind of am interested in seeing that talk about the river. There being a river. No, maybe not. Oh, wait. There's...
I don't know.
And I'm not going to look at this talk to find out. There is one thing that I want to look at, which is the new Watchtower Study Edition came out. And there's a couple parts that I know people have been cringing about. Let's see. Oh. This really requires more of a deep dive, but Philip Brumley has kind of come back from not being in the public eye so much for Watchtower. He's here, his life story is here, and it's very weird and deceptively worded, but that's kind of a whole other subject. This is asking us, have we learned the secret? And that makes me think about...
Oh my God, I've read that book, actually. Yeah, so I have learned the secret.
The secret. Are you a contented person?
You just really want something, and then you want them actively. So then they just get
manifest
like
it.
That's a secret. Yeah, you manifest it by you thinking about it so much that you end up buying it, right? Like,
that's basically like prayer. I don't know if I've ever seen that man in my life.
Yeah, exactly.
Philip Brumley? Oh, the other guy. Okay. There was a part of this, not that. It is this. Oh, do we want to see Peach real quick?
Only if you're not
Yes. Yes, Peach's
break.
break.
Let's see Peach real quick. Let's
chat,
take a quick Peach break.
Do you not want to have the Peach's break right now?
Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Hey.
Wow. You must show your face. Hey, baby.
Oh my
Say
God.
hello.
She always hates being on camera. I don't understand why. Like she
doesn't like it. She doesn't like being on camera. It's very sad. She's very shy.
It's true.
Give a hug to Danny.
Cutie. Hey, give me a hug, you boy. Oh my God, that is so. Oh my God, look how cute.
She's so cute. I can't. And the best part of having a pet is that we get to play the pet drop, which we can always find exactly when we need.
Our spiritual paradise is a place that has many harmless animals.
Now, what do we mean by this?
I don't know what we mean by that, but there was a part of this that I can't quite find it. Oh, right. Let's look at this. I like to look at the pictures because, as we all know, these magazines are mostly written for 5-year-olds. Big change here. Worldly person portrayed not with a beard. I guess that would have been weird because this is a lady. But she's got kind of tasteful, trendy tattoos and a streak of color in her hair.
Oh no! Is it me? Is the lady me?
No, but close. Now that you mention it, that actually does that was a description of you. This is how they're portraying a worldly woman, even though, like,
can you zoom in? Because I can't. I can barely see her tattoo.
Yeah, let's get a closer look. I mean, not really.
So
There's some
tiny.
cursive and like a butterfly or something maybe. And what you really should be doing is just being a Jehovah's Witness with no tattoos. I guess. Okay, let's look at the description. This is going to tell us what to think. During her personal study, a witness examines evidence that we are living in the last days. This moves her to call her sister and witness to her. Oh ho ho! So what we're seeing, I thought this was like, just because their hair was so similar, I thought, but no, these are two sisters, fleshly sisters.
Would you look at that? You were the racism all along. What?
I know. Oh my God.
Same color. Wow.
What a twist.
Wow.
No. No, they're literally related. Now the problem.
Yeah, no, it's just the hair is literally the same, and it's the main thing that you look at, because like both of their hairs are like really nice.
The lesson that they're getting across is don't give up on your unbelieving family members. Which I always hate this.
That's why they look similar. Okay.
Yes, so we should not be discouraged when people initially reject the good news. When, by the way, because they are. People can change. Consider the example of Jesus' half-brother James. He watched Jesus grow up, become the Messiah, and teach as no other human had taught. Yet for years, James did not follow Jesus. Only after Jesus was resurrected did his brother become a disciple. And a zealous one at that! Oh. Do not underestimate the value of reaching out to relatives who have not yet shown interest, or of calling again on those who have not accepted the kingdom message. Remember that we are living in the last days, so our preaching work is urgent. What you say to them today may affect them later, perhaps even after the Great Tribulation starts.
Because remember, they can turn now. They can just convert now after the Great Tribulation.
But they've been saying this, for the entirety of the existence of Jehovah's Witnesses. Like, at what point are they going to admit that this is actually not so urgent? Maybe that's why they changed it to you can convert during the Great Tribulation now. But I don't like this. I don't like like telling witnesses to hold out a candle for their unbelieving family members. I don't like that.
Why? You don't want Jehovah's Witnesses to believe that they're going to be reunited with them in Armageddon. I mean, after paradise, and you don't want that thought to be carried on when you leave the Jehovah's Witnesses.
I don't. Here's another picture that's captivating.
Yeah, no, I get it.
We should be willing to listen to good advice, no matter who gives it to us. Picture description. An elder counsels a fellow elder regarding the way he spoke at a recent meeting. Wow. So first of all, this is not just one elder giving another elder advice. This is like they're ganging up on this guy.
Yes. No. I feel like the first photo is supposed to be like an elders meeting, and then the elder is being like very agitated and passionate. And then that's why, the other guy is like, hey, you know what? You kind of fucked up. You're not supposed to be passionate. You're not supposed to be angry. You're just supposed to be robotic and like stoic. So here's a Bible verse that says something about Jesus. And what that means is follow the governing body. So just do that.
Hey, brother, you were yelling in the last elders meeting, and it made me think of this scripture. Would you read this scripture out loud to me here in the car?
Will you read the scripture for us?
Could you read this for us, please? So I just wanted to give you just a little bit of kindly direction. Oh, hey, this actress right here, this model. Wait, I'm telling you, we saw her earlier in this very stream. This is the person from the deleted shunning video.
No, she just looks like her, but she's...
Yeah,
see, you're being racism against white people as well. Like you're being racist.
I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do that.
I'm
I
not
have
sure because I don't even know
the
what you're
white
supposed to
people
be
pass.
like. Are you Asian? I don't.
What I'm supposed to be? How dare you? Heliocentric.
I never know if what races people.
Let me
identify
see
as.
here. Where is this? She was in the heliocentric
She's
video,
not the
so
same.
I'm trying to
She's
pull.
not the same.
I think you're being problematic for not agreeing with me, quite frankly. Let's see. Where's our friends? Where's our
What is
friends?
he doing? What is this happening in this photo?
Oh, okay. That's a good question. While I look for this person. Are we really seeking good advice, or are we just looking for someone to agree with us? Wow. Makes you think.
Oh, so she's
So
going
here's the
to
context.
multiple people. Yeah.
We would, right. Jehovah's Witnesses never just go to get their beliefs confirmed. Confirmation bias does not exist.
Yeah, no,
in
do
Jehovah's
not
Witnesses.
get a second opinion.
No, don't bother.
Imagine that a brother has received an attractive job offer. Before he accepts it, he seeks an elder for advice. The brother mentions that the job would require him to be away from his family for extended periods of time. The elder reminds the brother of the Bible principle that his primary responsibility is to provide for his family's spiritual needs. Suppose that the brother immediately finds fault with the elder's words and asks the other brothers about the matter until he is told what he wants to hear. Is the brother really seeking advice, or has he already made up his mind and is just looking for someone to agree with him? We must remember that our heart is treacherous. Sometimes the advice we need the most is the advice we want to hear the least. Now, this would be totally unobjectionable if it didn't have anything to do with the fact that it's a cult saying this.
Yeah, this isn't advice. You're not asking for advice. You're asking if you're allowed to do something. Okay, it's just disguised as advice. That's why sometimes you're like, oh, come on, like I really need my job. I have no money right now. I'm in deep debt. This could really help me. Can I please get this job? And then the elder says no. So then you're like, I don't think that elder wasn't the right, because I don't think, the Bible says anything about me not being able to like get a job if that means that I'm going to be away for a bit from my family. And then they just look for another elder. But obviously, that's why this is an issue. If it was an actual advice, then if someone gives you an advice that you don't want to follow, then you just don't follow it. Like it's fine. You just do what you want because you're in control of your life, not the elder.
Yeah, no, totally. Hey, we got apostate Barbie in the chat too. Love to see it. I'm trying to find proof that I'm right, and so far I can't find this freaking clip that was from the heliocentric video. I blame heliocentric, quite frankly. No, I think I'm almost there. I think it's after he shows. You don't know this, viewer at home, but I'm trying to find evidence that this is the same Jehovah's Witness lady that we saw in a video.
It's not like, look, I'm gonna find it. Like I'm
gonna find it.
We even made a thing about it.
I know we did a video. No, wait, but I might have just missed it. Dang it! All right, come on. Show more B-roll of people.
I literally
This is
have
important.
it like on my channel without any commentary.
Heliocentric.
There you go.
Oh wait, do you have it?
Yeah, I'm sending it to you in the private chat. The chat that nobody
I'm so
else
upset.
is
I'm so upset, and it is a very exclusive chat, by the way. All right, well, let's see what kind of rickroll he has set me up for here.
Imagine. No, I know that you open them. Like, you don't open them on stream. Otherwise, I would have taken advantage of that.
Right. Okay. So this is the person. Oh wait, I don't have it up here. My bad. Okay. This person here.
Now the same.
This person here.
See, she has a different blouse. She's not the same.
Well, now that's. Hang on. I think that you know I'm right.
No,
That's like
She's just a white lady. You're just being racism against.
You're just a white
people.
lady.
Most. No,
I think
there's a bit where she looks at the camera as well. No, I mean towards the camera.
Oh, come on. Look right in the camera. Make eye contact. This, I swear to God, is the same person. We don't have... Are people in chat sounding off on this?
Guys,
this is going to end.
Set up a poll because people...
Oh, yeah. Like, people can't
agree with
style
me,
their
I
eyebrows differently. This is outrageous.
Different blouse.
I'm upset.
The hair is parted a different
blouse
way.
is not an answer. Okay, here's the next picture, by the way, while people sound off in chat. Poll. Okay. Hang on, let me do a poll. Oh, now I'm in the wrong account because I switched to the ad.
You're saying they're not even the same age.
Yeah, because this video is several years old now. Guys, you know what? I don't even want to do a poll now. But I'm going to do it because I was just saying earlier how much I love democracy. All right. Here's what we're doing, by the way. All right, I'm doing a poll. So you are on team no, not the same woman. I am on team yes, this is the same woman. And here's a little extra to sweeten the deal, to sweeten the pot, because here's what I think we got to remember about this, is that this video that this lady was in was deleted from the broadcast, from the assembly. She was supposed to be in this, like, disfellowshipping, apostate family member thing, and it was removed from the program. So maybe what we're seeing here is a little make good on Watchtower's part. Like, hey, sorry we cut you out of that video. At least we got you in this cool picture in the Watchtower. All right, now while we think about why I'm right
in the picture, okay.
We do have to look at the picture because we got one more. What? Oh God, it's about blood. No, we should seek advice only after we have done our own research.
Danny, this is what I deal with every day.
Christina says this is what she has to deal with every day, but that's
true.
not true because I would never start a poll. I would just accept defeat gracefully.
No, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. I'm a graceful person. Can we zoom in on the picture later? I don't know how to do this stuff. Zoom and enhance. Like I'm Chloe from 24. How do we do that? It's something plus.
Can you just like do this on the you know, on the pad, on the trackpad?
That's what I'm trying to do. For some reason it's zooming out. That's as close as we're getting.
Just do that.
You don't. I can't. I wish I could, but if I do that, she's even bigger. All right.
I feel she looks like she's like 40 or something. Like maybe it's just
the passage of time. Time has passed. Here, I think it looks even
20
more
years.
like her in this video because this is the video that I was really thinking of. This.
There you go. Like she literally is like 20 years old.
Exactly.
No, it did not. 20 years did not happen in between that video and this photo. I mean, this drawing.
I'm right. Everyone who disagrees with me is wrong.
Look
and is going
at the
insane.
blouse. Different blouse. Literally.
So
like
if I just wear a
literally went to
different
another
shirt
one,
next
it's just,
week,
they're a different blouse. It's just people did not recognize me without my signature red Caleb t-shirt, red striped Caleb t-shirt. Okay, that literally does happen.
Oh no, Danny, you're really winning. It's not even close.
Paul, I'm not.
People,
I'm not even...
people don't think I'm right at all. This is brutal. On my own stream.
I told you. You're
in my own dojo.
You are going to. Oh my God, Pee-wee, no. You're gonna get canceled for being a racism in your own stream. That's insane.
I disagree. I think that this looks very similar, and I think people are just wrong. And I think I'm right.
All white women look alike. Like, it's just wow. Wow,
I don't know
that
why
really
you
says
have to
something
take it
about
to that
society.
place. It does, actually. It does say something about society. Okay, all right. I don't think you... no, I just... Everyone's
27.
wrong. Stop the
She's
steal.
not a day over 25.
Stop the count. This is... No. The rigged election. I changed my mind
She
about
doesn't
democracy.
even have
I don't
like
believe it anymore.
forehead wrinkles. I got my first forehead wrinkles like when the moment I turned 26. So no, she's 25. She's 25. And in the other one is like a lady that is like 40.
Well, Michael is being weird, so let's just put him in timeout for a minute. Okay, let's it's okay, they're all wrong. Man, all right. Well, we did it though. We did a video. Danny,
we did
plug some things for us. Where can people find you? You got a new video on a new channel?
Yeah, I actually have not been uploading as much to exJW Caleb. Like, that's changing already. I already uploaded something today, but I didn't upload for like a couple of weeks because I'm trying to make look, exJW Caleb does not make enough money. Outwardly does not make enough money. Like, we both need to like work other shit because we obviously do not make enough money. And obviously, like, that's not the fault of our viewers or anything. It's just we are making content in a tiny niche. So, there's only so many viewers that are gonna watch it. Like, that's just a reality. However, we are both
Panda got all of them. He got all of them.
Exactly. But we're both obsessed with making it. So I'm like, what can I do? Because I obviously I can't get like another job that will just take away like all of my time to do exJW Caleb, because then I'll make the exact same amount of money because I'm in Mexico that I make with exJW Caleb, which is just like $500 like at best, So I can't do that. So I made a new channel that it's called Misunderstanding, because I don't have a lot of imagination. So I'm like, oh, what if I, instead of me being Danny, I'm Andy, which is the same letters, just like changed a little bit. And yeah, you can find it on YouTube. Misunderstanding. The first video is about the history of God, and it's a sort of a completely different video. Like, you will recognize my voice. I also use a little avatar, but everything else is different. It's just funny, crude, sometimes like cartoons. I make a bigger effort on the comedy, because sometimes I feel talking about Jehovah's Witness cults is not the best place for comedy. But there you can, hopefully you'll find it a little bit funnier. So yeah, if you wanna go check it out, the first video I just uploaded it, like, it just has less than a week and it's already performing better than my exJW Caleb videos. So I'm hoping that that channel I can actually monetize, maybe even get sponsors or whatever. And if I can, then I can just keep doing exJW Caleb forever. Like, who cares if nobody watches me on exJW?
Your lips to God's ears, Danny.
Yeah, that is, I feel like, we're both trying to find a way to keep doing this because we're both obsessed and with doing this, and we know that we cannot stop, even though everything is telling us that we should.
Nobody really wants to watch what we're doing, but we're going to try and find a way to make people watch it somehow.
Everyone is wrong, not us. We cannot be wrong.
I mean, we saw that with the poll earlier today. So many people being wrong about that lady not being the same. Just because she's a cartoon.
Just go check that out if you want to. Like, it's just a cartoon. I hope you find it funny. And also, there's people that saw my T-shirt. This is my merch. The cross.
It's a great shirt.
I have a little merch thingy. I said the T-shirts as cheap as possible. I can only make like $2 for every T-shirt. So I just made it. These literally. I thought this was a cool idea, and I wanted one of these, like a Christian-looking propaganda T-shirt for Jehovah's Witnesses. So I thought it was a funny thing. So yeah, those are just like the two.
Always
things
remember,
that I can plug now that
These clothes are designed to sexually excite both men and women.
Sexy.
There you
so, yeah,
go.
what do you want to plug?
And,
what are you working on?
Well, I was gonna say today we're not gonna have a Jackbox after party in Discord, but if you want to hang out with Danny and I and other like-minded folks, become a patron or member of either one or both of our patrons, and we got
Both of
Discord
us,
going.
obviously.
We're gonna get it going there soon. I'm not on it a ton here right now, but we're gonna do some more fun stuff, playing games and book clubs and so forth. For me in the future, I've got right now I released a rough cut of a 17-minute edit that I made that's kind of a little story about Elon Musk. It's my typical editing style. And I whipped out the old piano here. I scored
so cool.
a lot of the video.
That is so cool that you know how to do that. That is so cool. That is just so cool.
It's fun. I'm really proud of it. Do you guys want to see part of it? I think it's pretty cool.
Yes.
Now this is a rough cut of an edit, and this is different than the thing that's going to be on Alt-Worldly soon. But basically, you know how what I normally do is like I do a rebuttal to videos. Like that's what I had intended to do with Elon, but then I needed a lot of footage of him, and so then I just ended up watching a lot of videos with him. And I specifically was really interested in finding interviews where people pushed back on him, because he doesn't get a lot of tough interviews, especially now that he's kind of in charge of the universe. So I wanted to look back through at some old interviews at times when he loses his cool and kind of see what we can learn from that. So let me kind of show off some stuff. And I don't know. Let's see. There's a few parts where I actually did the score. Finals.
Yeah, show us a score.
Okay, yeah. So I'll show you the first little... Okay, so that's the first and definitely shortest.
That's awesome.
Let's get to where my keyboard plays in more. This little segment here with Don Lemon is really where things go insane.
You talk about your ketamine use and depression. Have you also have said, and
the reason I should say, the reason I mentioned the ketamine prescription on the X platform was because I thought maybe this is something that could help other people. That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Great Replacement Theory now? Some of the things that you post, the Great Replacement Theory, you claim that Democrats, President Biden's immigration plan to open up the border, you said that the president is getting, and Democrats are doing it to get more votes. But undocumented immigrants cannot vote in federal elections, so how is that possible?
Right. Well, you're conflating two things. One is Great Replacement Theory. The other is legal immigrants, which I think have a very strong bias to, at least everything I've read, very strong bias to vote Democrat.
This is me playing right now.
The more they're country, the more they're likely to vote in that direction. It is my and yeah. So the question is like how? So there's a few ways that this works. One is that this also applies to the.
But the reason, Elon, the Electoral College is in place is to balance that, is so that doesn't happen. So what you're saying about it is the exact opposite of the reason why the Electoral College is there. The Electoral College at this point in our history gives people who are in smaller states and red states much more of an influence over our elections than people who are in blue states, and the majority of the people in this country. That's what the Electoral College does. It actually does the exact opposite of what you're saying. It protects people who are in smaller states and protects people who are in red states.
Well, glitch, buffering. People are so mean now online.
Listen,
Yeah, so then things become kind of Inception, but
It's insane because I feel like you perfectly captured the craziness of Elon Musk, just like the cringiness and craziness of Elon Musk. Like it's just, how can people see him and think he's a genius? Like I don't understand.
I know it's
You've
really
never
tough.
said anything genius-wise.
It's kind of trying to. It charts a lot of different things. Like, it definitely tells a story. It's sort of like that edit I did that's like the governing body loves you very much, that kind of tells a little story, sort of like that. This one gets into some...
But these are just a handful of extremely, you look at those anti-Semitic and racist tropes and tweets, and as of this morning...
Yeah, anyway, I swear to God, it's funnier than these clips I'm showing, but anyway, that's what I've been working on. This is not the video that's coming out on Alt-Worldly, but I changed the name of, like, the dumb edit channel to Autopsy or something, and I think, like, I'm just gonna probably be editing stuff like this, and when I do, I'll throw it up there, and people can like it or not. Just remember that people are so mean online. Thanks, everybody, for joining. I gotta pee really bad, so...
Me too.
Goodbye.